How does a guy go from being a personal trainer and a bingo caller in an old folks home to being a best-selling Kindle author and a Kindle direct publishing expert? Well, my guest Dale L. Roberts did it, and he's here today to tell you how. Hey guys, welcome in. Tim Knox here. This is the one-on-one interview show. And my guest today is my buddy Dale L. Roberts. Dale, how are you?
Yes, it is important that you add the L. Otherwise, it's just Dale Roberts, and that's some mystery writer and also a deceased footballer as well.
Oh, is it really? Well, I always like, because that's the one thing you and I talked. I think I saw you on an interview with Jason Brock, and that's the first thing I'm like, that's hilarious. I wish I had an L for a middle initial. What does the L stand for?
It stands for loser. I mean, that's what my mom, she already kind of said it all out. She was like, here's a loser here.
Yeah, well, I would imagine as a baby, you look much like you do now, except without the glasses. So
that's about, actually, I think my head was bigger.
Was it?
My poor mother.
The scream heard round the world.
It stands for Lewis, so it's pretty darn close to loser.
Very good. Well, it's close enough. We'll just let it go.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get started, we're here today to talk about digital entrepreneurship and how you are using digital platforms to start, run, and grow your business, which we want to hear all about. Before we do, though, for those handful of watchers and listeners who don't know who Dale L. Roberts is, give us a quick bio.
Let's see your quick bio. I am a former personal trainer, former professional wrestler, and also I did 2 decades in the healthcare industry as an activities director. So I've really run the gamut when it comes to being in just about every line of work imaginable. Oh, yeah, and did I fail to mention musician? And I primarily focus in my self-publishing business these days. The stuff that pays the bills is my actual fitness brand. A smaller portion of it is through previously ghostwritten work underneath other pen names, but otherwise what pays the bills is the Dale L. Roberts brand.
And how does one go from being a professional wrestler, a fitness trainer, and the bingo caller at the old folks home to being a digital publisher?
Oddly enough, actually, it started in the healthcare industry. I think that maybe I probably had enough senior citizens yelling at me that I was just like, I had to go take my aggression out on something. Because apparently they frown upon, taking it out on, the senior citizens. All joking aside, though, actually, I started 17 years old. I asked my father for his blessings to move out of the house after I was done graduating and moved in with my uncle. And I needed work, and I said, I'll take anything. And he said, anything? Yeah. So he put me into a nurse aid work, and I lasted in that for about 4 years before the opportunity opened up to become an activities director, where essentially, like you said, like being a glorified bingo caller. But, there was so much more to the work that I really enjoyed it, and I was able to move up into a position actually within a larger privately owned company that I was the mentor in that particular position, and that actually afforded me the luxury of being flown throughout the United States to teach people how to play with seniors. So
that's why you and I get along so well, because now that I'm thinking about how we interact, there's a lot of that. You're handling me basically. I am one of your seniors. Holy crap. It just hit me.
I don't know. I think, obviously we're keeping things clean for the show. I know that when you and I aren't on the show, we're probably a little bit more irreverent together than I would be, say, in a professional role when I was working at an assisted living community. Because, I couldn't drop F-bombs and feel comfortable with that because they'd obviously give me the stink eye.
Oh, yeah. You don't say the F word in front of anyone who's over 80. My mother will hit you with her cane. So, well, let's dive into it now, because what I want to talk to you about is digital entrepreneurship, how you have gone from a career in other things into your own business, which you're doing very well. You're a publisher, you're a writer, you're an entrepreneur, you're a marketer and a YouTube star. And so primarily, I want to start with Kindle because I get so many questions. I do Kindle publishing. I've done coaching. I've written books, but I get so many questions from people about how to start that Kindle direct publishing business, how to become either, publish their own books or become publishers themselves who publish the work of others. Talk a little bit about how you started doing that. When did you publish your first book?
I published, let's see here, I began writing in 2013, and I can't remember the exact date that I actually got it up. Any event, I was actually encouraged by my wellness coach at my job. She pretty much felt like she just couldn't challenge me anymore. Obviously, physical fitness is very big to me. So, she would say, okay, what kind of a challenge would you like to do this month? And I go, how about we do 2,000 squats straight? And this is no exaggeration. I would do things like body weight challenges because I really wanted to get it to where I could try to break myself like I used to do in professional wrestling. So after a while, it was just almost like she felt like she couldn't challenge me anymore. And she said, one of these times you need to write down all that you've learned in the fitness industry into a book, because I bet you a lot of people would love that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, that's probably going to be too hard. And she's like, done. There's your challenge. Mm-hmm. And she challenged me to do that. And that's what got me to write my first book, which was my worst book. I think a lot of people could probably relate to that. But the nice thing is I fired it off and something happened that I didn't think would happen. It sold. I was like, okay, beyond family and friends, I was still getting sales for this. Now, mind you, it was just in paperback. It wasn't even in Kindle. I actually got my start in Create Space. And I did everything myself, which is why that book was so horrendous. And it started selling it. So it built and instilled confidence in me to say, you know what, if I can sell one book, then I can sell 100 or I can sell 1,000. It was a breaking point, though. And this is where it kind of gets into those sappy, almost like it sounds like I'm getting ready to pitch you on an MLM company, where I'm going to tell you a little bit of the reasoning behind my purpose. Why I got into this industry was my wife. And the mere fact was, yes, I love my job. Yes, my job paid me well, but it came at a sacrifice. And that sacrifice was being able to be around my wife. And I love my wife. And there's a lot of people that, oh, my old battle axe. And I'm kind of like, watch your mouth. You don't call my wife a battle axe, because, she's my best friend. She's my companion. I love being around her forever, however much that she gives me a hard time these days. But that's a good thing. And that was my reason. I needed to get out of that job, because I was like, I'd rather starve and eat ramen noodles and frozen vegetables for the next 5 years than to be well-fed, have all the bills paid, and never see my wife.
Right.
And that's what it came down to. And this is something I don't recommend to anybody. Don't just go and burn the boats without some kind of safety net, because that's literally what I did. Is I put my 1 month notice in with the company. They were shocked, but they were very supportive. But I'll tell you this, that thankfully there was a small nest egg saved aside, but I burned through it in no time, because as you know, if you don't know what you're doing in the self-publishing industry and you try to do it on your own, you're going to have many sleepless nights and many unpaid bills. So
yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, about the learning process, because I know, you took that leap, and kudos for that, because most people never have the guts to do that. Yeah. But I think you learned a lesson that a lot of people, including me, the first time that I jumped out, quit a really good job and started a business, only to come back around 6 months later with my tail tucked between my leg, asking for my job back. Talk a little bit about, you made the decision, you wrote the one book. Do you remember what it was called?
It actually is still on the market, and it's underneath a different name, but it was called The 3 Keys to Greater Health and Happiness, Unlock Your Greater Life, or
great title.
Something like that.
Did you write that under your own name?
Yes, underneath actually it started out very originally underneath Dale Roberts, but the problem was that anytime I made a search of my name, that was where that mystery writer came up, the Dale Roberts. Right. And so I said, well, gosh, this makes sense. I should just go ahead and use my middle initial. It pops up on my driver's license anyway. So that's why I did that. But yeah, oh gosh, It's good. That cover is going to show up one of these times on one of my episodes of Clap or Crap for sure. For sure.
That would be, I'd love to see that. I really would. So you wrote that book, you started getting some sales, and in your mind, you were ready to take the leap. So you dove in.
Yeah.
Did you have any entrepreneurial experience at all, or did you very much just dive into the pool without knowing how to swim or how deep the water was or anything?
Not in this particular neck of the woods. Thankfully, my wife had already been running a successful Amazon FBA business at that time. So I at least went into it knowing that we weren't working without a net altogether within this house, affording us, pretty good stuff. But outside of that, really, I mean, I was in a rock band before, but it was a failure. And I'm not saying that to spite anybody within the band or anybody I was with. In professional wrestling, that's probably the other portion of being an entrepreneur, because obviously you have to make yourself marketable. And it's not like I was going to, do wrestling for no money. I would have to actually try to make some money so I could at least put gas in the tank and food in my stomach in some of these trips. But beyond that, self-publishing industry was brand new to me. So a lot of this was just trial and error. I've done some really dumb things, let me tell you. And I think that's probably why the YouTube channel is so successful, because I'm able to actually share some of the stupid things I've done and what I've done to overcome those specific mistakes.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're so transparent. And the digital entrepreneur show that I do with Naz and Gamlin coming up, it probably is already aired by the time this comes out, but we do a whole show on the mistakes that entrepreneurs make, not just new entrepreneurs, but old dogs like me. Crap, I'd been in business 30 years and went in retail. What the hell was I thinking? So, well, let's go to where you are now, because you are a successful publisher. You are a successful author. Take us, really quickly from the point where, was there a point where you went, you know what, this is a business and I have to treat it as such, and did that make a difference to you?
I think it really came down to, once again, I'm going to blame my wife here. I'm going to throw her under the bus. Give her
You better be
credit.
glad you married Kelly.
By the way, she's actually like 2 feet in front of me here, brother.
Oh, she's so too good for you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
In so many ways.
She really, she holds a flame to me and really just puts it right underneath my butt and gets me going to where, I might sit here, for instance, when I had my first #1 best-selling book, I was like, yeah, I'm a #1 best-selling author. And she's like, okay, so where's the bonus? Where's the extra pay? Because the fact is, titles don't give you money, don't pay the bills.
Right.
So she was holding me to a higher standard, and that's really good. And she continues to do that, where I will become successful to a certain extent. She goes, okay, let's go ahead and elevate the bar. And that's, even proof, and say the YouTube channel that I have, that, you've seen that I've really elevated the amount of stuff I've been putting and producing. So she actually saw one of the videos and said, that's what you need to be doing. She said, you need to really start scaling that up, get it out there, because this is great information. You're doing awesome. So it helps to have that cheerleader to keep you on track. But I think with the self-publishing industry, where I was at, I would say about a year into the business, dude, I was making, I would say the first 6 months to a year, I was lucky if I was breaking $300 to $400. It was nuts. I was just spinning my wheels, and I thought, well, let's just go ahead and keep throwing money down the hopper. Let's hire some freelance writers. Let's hire some VAs. Let's do this. And when I was able to actually go back and look at my first year in the business, I was in the negative. I'd spent more than I had earned. And I was like, I'm doing this exactly like they say in the videos. And that's when I finally reached out to Jason Brock, as you and I know, good mutual friend of ours. And he has been uber successful in self-publishing. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to do exactly what I've done in the businesses that have, I've been successful in. I was a successful activities director only because I had a mentor and a coach. I was successful in professional wrestling to a certain extent because I had a mentor, and to a certain extent kind of a coach, but you really don't have coaches in pro wrestling. So I needed to kind of look at it that way. And the only reason why I hadn't hired someone as a coach or a mentor was money. quite frankly, I am a cheap, you're going to have to probably bleep this out. I'm a cheap bastard.
Right.
All right. So I just literally, but the problem was it was to my detriment because, dude, you know, you can sit here and sacrifice your life for art, but man, if it ain't paying the bills, who are you impressing?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
that's where I was at. So I essentially was able to get Jason. Actually, my wife and I flew out to Chicago. We spent an entire day with him. Man, that guy seriously took care of us. Like literally, he took us out to eat. He got to go hang out at his Airbnb fancy house, and we sat on our computers, and he was able to analyze my business and see exactly where I was going wrong, how I needed to kind of change the direction. And I just said, I'm all yours. Mold me. I want to know exactly how you're doing it, and whatever you tell me, I'm going to do it to the T. And it was probably after that Chicago trip, we were having a coaching session via video chat that he just said, you know, you need to do this, 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 and this. And I did exactly what he said. And I think one of the very first thing was, he wanted me to get the brand really cemented and established. So he said, you need to publish at least 8 to 10 different books. Done. Did it. Got on top of it. And within 90 days, he'd come back to me and was like, okay, so how you doing? You got a couple books up? I'm like, no, I've got 9. And he's like, what? And he was blown away to see that I took the ball and I ran with it. And one of the things he said to me was 6 months. I give you 6 months. It's a slow burn, but I promise you, if you just stick with it, it's going to blow up. I swear to you, it was 6 months from the day that he said that I had my first #1 bestseller that ended up becoming a #1 bestseller in numerous Amazon markets. And it gave me my biggest paycheck. And I was like, holy crap, it's finally working.
What book was that?
It was an ultimate home workout plan. Oh, excuse me. I almost choked on my own word. It was an ultimate home workout plan bundle. And it essentially was my best of a collection of fitness exercises. And here's the funny thing is I put that out, not thinking anything of it. I was just kind of like, yeah, let's toss this out and see if it works. And did it work? Oh my gosh. And
why do you think that book worked?
Timing. Timing is everything, especially when it comes to any December. And I just happened to put it on a free promotion at the beginning of January. So that way when January 3rd, went off, all of a sudden, boom, I swear to you, it was hundreds of copies. I'm looking at my dashboard and I'm going, oh, and the rising tide raises all the other boats, of course. So, of course, this one's doing good, and then it starts raising other ones across the board.
Now, you're talking about your other books.
Other books, yes. The other ones as well. It started raising those up, and I just, that was finally the thing that told me, man, you're doing it right finally. So let's just keep doing it. So I kept going and coaching till finally Jason was just like, you can stop giving me your money. He's like,
you're there.
He's just like, yeah, it just, I said to him, actually asked him, I think in an interview, I said, why did you stop charging me, man? And he's just like, you started teaching me things.
Yeah. Well, I think the point there is you didn't stop trying. You kept going, and so many people, Dale, and you know this, we both have YouTube channels that focus, yours more than mine, on Kindle direct publishing. And we hear from people who, they want to shortcut the process. How can I spend less than $100, get a best-selling book produced, and be rich by Friday? I mean, I get those emails, and I know you do too.
I do.
And so I think the difference that set you apart was you didn't stop. You kept going. And I think there's so many people that stop right before they get to the goal line or the 10-yard line or even the 50-yard line. But you kept going, and you made mistakes. You lost money your first year. Well, hell, most businesses lose money their first year. Oh, yeah. But you kept at it. Now, you're very successful with what you're doing now. Are you still focusing primarily on fitness, or are you in different genres?
I really primarily focus on the fitness brand. This is coming from a guy, though, that I haven't put out an original fitness publication in a little over a year now, because I did a few compilations and kind of spin-offs of some of the other books, because it's a workout book, so I can be able to put different versions of
Yeah.
that out, which was underneath the Kindle short reads. And that right there gets me a few bucks here and there from those Kindle fitness short reads. So actually, I literally in the development stages of a all body weight exercise book with no equipment needed, because my flagship brand is the home workout plan. As far as expanding out, I just try to focus on that one thing. If that was something I would encourage your audience to do, if you're an entrepreneur, try to find that one thing. It's so easy to get distracted and go, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. Business is not an all-you-can-eat buffet. You really got to kind of sit there and focus on one thing. Focus on that one dish, finish that dish before you move on to another one. So yeah, I've got my, kids book brand, but I mean, I've left that set because honestly, at the end of the day, the fitness brand pays the bills. And the other thing, and this is, I'm talking out the other side of my mouth now because I'm actually doing the self-publishing channel on YouTube. And it's because I enjoy doing videos. And I think it shows in some of the video production that I do. And I've gotten to the point that I really feel like I'm putting these videos together for somebody out there that was like me a few years ago, to where I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not going to afford, I'm not going to afford to hire somebody out or coach somebody or something else like that. So I want to kind of give them little tidbits and give them encouragement and get them a few laughs, most importantly, because that's really what I enjoy. I imagine that this is going to end up, and it will be developing into a full coaching program over the next 90 days. But that's not my focus right now. My focus is just to try to grow that brand on YouTube. That's completely separate, though, from the fitness brand.
I think you're really smart, though, to focus on the fitness, because that's what you know. And you're not only building a brand there, but you're also building your expertise. Yeah. So when it comes time, I mean, hell, you don't have to just write a book. You could go get on a stage and talk for an hour about fitness. So the books, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, they started off as the primary product, but now they've grown more into a marketing tool than anything that is going to promote your brand as an expert in fitness. And I think that's very, very smart to do. I want to really quickly talk about if someone comes to you and says, Dale, I want to get into Kindle publishing. Whether I want to write my books or hire someone out, what is your advice to these folks? How did they get started? Because you and I both know so many people jump in and they'll spend money on coaching, and then they'll get 50 books, produced, and they'll spend $5,000 on a credit card, and then they end up not making a nickel. What do you tell folks that come up to you wanting to know what's the first steps?
It's funny. I get a lot of, as you know, Messenger on Facebook. I get lots of emails because my contact information is inside my YouTube descriptions. And because I want people to kind of approach me, but in the same instance, I think a lot of people expect me to answer them. So I typically book like a quick video chat, 10, 15 minutes. So for instance, I talked to a gentleman the other day from over in India, and he was kind of shocked that I would spend about 10 minutes, because here's the problem.
I'm shocked that you would spend 10 minutes.
Yeah, I've spent time with you
I have to get on your schedule months in advance.
Probably not too far off, though. But yeah, I like to kind of talk to people and know exactly why are they getting into it. Because here's the thing is, it's not for everybody. It's not a business for everyone. So you got to know why you're going into it. Are you going into it for money? Well, that's great. Burger King's hiring. They pay. So what's the big difference here? I think a lot of people, unfortunately, I'm starting to see the gold rush start to slow down a little bit in the Kindle publishing industry. It's not as going buck wild because people realize it's not an easy business. Not anymore. At least
it's hard to make money on Amazon.
It really is. It is. And I think some people will probably, if you were just to take time and look at my brand, you'll see that, some of my books ain't doing worth a darn. And some of them are doing fantastic. Globally speaking, I'm doing all right. Like I said, able to pay the bills with it. That's awesome. But, you got to know why you're going into it, because if you're just going into it for money, remember, McDonald's is hiring, that's surefire pay per hour. You'll be able to get taken care of. Whereas, being an entrepreneur, you better be ready that, you're going to have to put the work in, and you got to stay motivated and passionate about it. Be passionate about whatever you do. If you're a toilet scrubber, be passionate about it, for crying out loud, because people recognize passion. And that's one of the things I think that really reverberates within some of my YouTube videos, is people see that I'm passionate about how I say things, because I can't stand to be able to live a life without passion. Because if I just go into it, well, I want some money, well, that's great. I hear the porn industry's hiring too, So that's the thing is you got to start to say, does this resonate with me? Okay. Because if it doesn't resonate with you, if you don't like reading, if you don't like having to micromanage a team of freelance writers, or you don't like to have to go through the editing process, then figure out what it is that you are passionate about, that you can get out of bed excited every single day. That's one of the reasons why I'm able to go into my day-to-day life. First of all, I'm passionate about being with my wife, spending time with my cat. And people are going to be like, spending time with this cat? Yes, I'm that weirdo. I've got a dozen ducks out there. We go out and feed them multiple times throughout the day because I'm passionate about it. I do what I love, and I hope that anybody that's looking into becoming an entrepreneur, don't just go into it because you see that it's making money. The MLM industry is another prime example. A lot of people see the, oh, wow, caviar dreams and champagne wishes. That's all well and good, but I'm going to tell you this, the success rate for most MLM companies is less than 1%. Yeah. 1%. Mind you, it's anecdotal here, folks. You can just Google it. But either way, find something you're passionate about and attack it.
Well, I think one of the points you make there are much easier businesses to start than a Kindle publishing business. And I think a lot of people are under the misconception that as I said before, you could just jump in, hire pay a ghostwriter $100 and throw it up on, get yourself a Fiverr cover, and put it up on Amazon, and geez, you'll be rich by Friday. And a lot of people are pushing that and saying that and coaching that. But, as two guys who have been there, done that, I'm going to call bullshit. And I think you will too.
I second that motion because that makes complete sense. And you've got these would-be experts and gurus, and some of them have since, taken up Anchor and moved on to other things like affiliate products, Shopify, friggin' fidget spinners and garbage like that, And here's the thing, that just goes to show that you took advice from this ding dong. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to put this out here, and I'm going to be very bold when I say this. I plan on, this is where my hat's going to hang. Because ever since I was a boy, I wanted to be a writer. I love reading and writing. So this resonates with me. So, if you've watched any would-be gurus, those guys that I made $20,000 and such, well, good for you. That's awesome. Your paycheck doesn't pay my bill, so I don't give up.
Yeah. You make a really good point that a lot of these Amazon Kindle gurus have now moved on to something else. Yeah. And I think it's because Amazon continually changes the game, or they change the rules. I mean, you and I both know this, things that worked a year ago no longer work. And again, to me, it seems like Amazon is making it harder and harder and harder to make money, whether you are the author of the books or you are the publisher. I want to talk really quickly, we've got a couple of minutes left, about your YouTube channel, because I know it is about publishing, but it's also about business. It's about entrepreneurship. It's how to publish and not lose your shirt. Talk a little bit about the channel and the kind of things that you talk about.
Really, I focus on self-publishing in general, and it's not just Kindle publishing. That is pretty much what draws in the traffic, and a huge reason why, if you end up searching up my channel, you'll find Kindle publishing, Kindle publishing, Kindle publishing. Right. It's because of what people are looking for. But to a certain extent, I'm actually, I haven't even shared this with you directly yet. I'm on day 3 of a 50-day challenge. That's right. Brian G. Johnson has the 30-day challenge. I said, screw that. I'm going for a full 50 days.
You mean this Brian G. Johnson?
That book. Yep. I'm literally following the template right there, which, Brian can probably just go ahead and swipe this video and use it as he's probably been waiting because I haven't finished up the book, but I am right now on day 3 of a 50-day challenge because I just wanted to raise the bar just a little bit. And
is this a 50-day video challenge?
It's a 50-day, 50. I'm going, for, because I was like, let's go for 100. And I was like, Dale, you're insane. Don't do that.
Right.
But the nice thing is I'm actually scheduled out for videos every day all the way through July 6th. And
Wow.
I've got about another 12 that are in development. And as you know, I've already interviewed you. I've interviewed Rob Archangel, and I've got other people in the works as well. Man, I'm just rabbit trailing. But I want to kind of offer something for everyone. So, for instance, I know that quite a few friends, actually one of my good friends, closest friends, he was in the Kindle publishing business. He had a KDP account that he was banned from.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it was due to some ambiguities. And they never gave him a straightforward answer. We speculated exactly where he was at. But here's the problem is he had all this work he invested time and money into doing nothing.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of put together some stuff that actually could answer some of his questions, because just because a KDP account gets terminated doesn't mean you can't still be able to stay within the self-publishing industry. Hello, there's other platforms out there besides Amazon. What? So that's where I really want to end. This is going to be news to you here as well. And it's something maybe you and I have discussed. It's Amazon Video Direct, which is another self-publishing platform. This is actually for video itself. And that is one of the mediums I'm starting to stretch out in the fitness industry. And I plan on breaking ground here for self-publishing as well underneath Amazon Video Direct. Actually, I just saw my first paycheck dropped in there, a whopping $2, baby. And that was it's a 90-day delay, I think, as opposed to the 60-day delay that we're used to in KDP. But yeah, that's pretty much where the direction of my channel is going. It's to entertain, but most importantly, inform, and really get it to where I can start to get it to where I'm building a little bit more of a presence on there.
Cool. Well, I just want to let everyone know, because there are a lot of, if you go to YouTube and you type in Kindle Direct Publishing, you and I come up, but so do a whole bunch of others. Oh, yeah. And if you are really interested in number one, hearing the truth, and, learning how to really start a sustaining business, I encourage you to check out Dale L. Roberts. Dale, where can they find more about you?
This is really simple. I've actually got a website. It's very new. This is relative to each of the brands here. So if you want to find me, you can find me. Obviously, just Google my name up, or you can even go into Amazon and look up Dale L. Roberts when it comes to the fitness brand. But you can go to dalelroberts.com. That is actually my fitness blog and website. It has all the relevant information about my fitness brand. And if you're actually interested in self-publishing, sure, you can go to the YouTube channel, but you can also head over to my new website. It's actually at selfpublishingwithdale.com. And there's a ton of information in there. And I plan on expanding that drastically, and that's actually starting to really catch fire quicker than my fitness brand ever did. It's amazing. I'm very happy about it.
All right, good. We will put links to everything below. Dale L. Roberts, as always.
Yes, I prefer to go Dale L. Which side?
No,
there we go.
I've got on long sleeves, so I can't do the guns. Although that's not bad for an old man.
You're holding up well. You're holding up well.
I put some time into it. Now, I've got bird legs like an old man. But hey, Dale L. Roberts, this has been fun. I will put links to everything down below. Hey, guys, don't forget, we do the Digital Entrepreneur Show twice a week. Comes out every Tuesday and Friday at noon Pacific time. I do that with my buddies Nez and Steve Gamlin, and we talk about all things digital and how you can use them to start, run, and grow your very own business. All right, that's going to do it. Dale, I got to hit the gym, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks.